Good evening and welcome. I am Golda Lee Bruce and this is the 7 o'clock news here on CNC3.
Good evening, I'm Roger Sant.
Making the news this evening, a 17-year-old girl becomes a casualty of a turf war as she is shot dead in Laventille for being from Movar. Major fraud at ABMs across the country. Cards are being skimmed for information. Already one bank has had to block off customers' cards. Outgoing Central Bank Governor Ewart Williams is speaking out. He says CLICO was a massive fraud scheme on the public. Also tonight, ever thought about how you can contribute to life after your death? Maybe. Find out how donating an organ may be a good way to start.
And in sport, the Windies go after second one-day international win against New Zealand tomorrow.
Top of the news tonight, a major act of fraud is being committed at automated banking machines known as skimming. And tonight, the Bankers Association says it's working with the police to bring the perpetrators to justice. Skimming is a process where fraudsters capture personal information from customers' cards with the intention of later using that information to access these customers' accounts. The Bankers Association says in the interest of protecting customers, banks will immediately block those debit or credit cards to which tampering may be suspected. Blocking of a card prevents any further transactions on that account. In addition, bankers are assisting law enforcement officials in identifying and prosecuting perpetrators. Customers whose cards are blocked will be contacted by their banks individually and replacement cards will be issued from their home branches. Customers are also being asked to immediately contact their banks should they note any suspicious activity on their accounts. Customers are also asked to be extremely vigilant when conducting and monitoring their banking transactions. Meantime, Scotiabank says customers affected by the incident outlined above can visit the Scotiabank branch on the main road in Chaguanas or the one on the southern main road in Couva tomorrow, Saturday, between 8 a.m. and 1 p.m. to have their Scotiabank debit cards replaced. Murdered for being in the wrong place and from the wrong neighborhood. That's how a 17-year-old girl met her death when she was shot dead in broad daylight this morning. Police believe that Kishona McLean was pulled out of a taxi and shot dead in Snake Valley, Laventille, simply because she was from Movar. Cameraman Timothy Chasto and reporter Chester Sambrano were in Snake Valley today, and they brought back this report.
It's a wrong thing, you know. It's a wrong to take a life with the youth and them now.
Fearful for his life, this relative of 17-year-old Kishona McLean took us to a place he considered safe, where he could tell us about her killing. He said when he arrived in Snake Valley on Friday morning, he saw Kishona's body with blood dripping from her head and chest. He said earlier she had been at a welding shop in the area when a gunman stopped the car she was in and asked where she was from. And when she said Movar, Kishona was taken out of the car, following which several shots were heard.
There's a set of foolish thing going on up the road and down the road and up the hill and down the hill, and the youths and them, you know, I don't know what it is causing them, but I know what it is, I know what it is, it's more love and respect in homes and things.
The relative tells CNC3 Kishona had no enemies.
She was a little wild and thing, you know, tomboy, she was tomboy, she liked well football, cricket. She liked to be around boys. She didn't like climbing with girls. She was a tomboy. But she was a saltfish. Everybody loves Kishona.
He says the family is still in disbelief over her killing.
Well, you could deal with something like that. You just had to let time do healing. Only time can heal this, if it could ever heal.
He says it is even more difficult for Kishona's uncles who are visiting from New York.
I mean, it's ridiculous. You come to see your family and, you understand, visit your family and on the third day, they're gone down in the streets like a dog.
He is now calling for communities to come together and stop the violence against one another. For CNC3, I am Chester Sambrano.
Meanwhile, the stage is set for a meeting between National Security Minister Jack Warner and Commissioner of Police Dwayne Gibbs next week, Tuesday, as the National Security Minister wants the 21st Century Policing Initiative, a brainchild of the Commissioner, to be shut down. Instead, Minister Warner is now proposing that officers be allowed to take home police vehicles as well as their firearms. Chester Sambrano reports again.
More trouble is heading the way of Police Commissioner Dwayne Gibbs. The 21st Century initiative that he has hailed a success may soon be shut down. Following a 3-hour meeting with the Police Association on Friday, National Security Minister Jack Warner was certain the plan is bearing no fruit.
Under my watch, it will have to change. The policy of the police is set by the government, by the minister. The implementation of it is set by the Commissioner of Police.
But how is Mr. Warner going to replace such an initiative? Well, he is planning to allow officers to take police cars home, as well as their weapons, as is done in the United States.
Look at the result. What happened to New York City in the last 3-4 years? Look and see what they are doing, guys, and whatever they are doing that's good, let's bring it in here. The more you see police vehicles and police officers, is the higher the visibility and the lower the crime rate. That has been proven.
The issue of police promotions was also discussed, with the minister revealing a startling figure of 80% of officers still filling acting positions.
The police service seems to be nothing better than what Hollywood is today. With a bundle of actors, how in God's name can you expect men to perform and give up their best if, over the years, they remain acting in their positions?
He said this is an issue that must be dealt with and promised a review of the act which governs the promotion of police officers. Minister Warner said the many issues facing officers have led to a loss of morale and drop in standards in the service. He plans to discuss these problems with Police Commissioner Gibbs at a meeting next week Tuesday. For CNC3, I am Chester Sambrano.
And that's the story which takes us to your vote. And the question we're asking tonight is, do you agree with Minister Warner's proposal that police officers be allowed to take home police vehicles and guns? Text your response to the number 2623. If your response is yes, text Y. If it's no, then text N. We'll give you an update on voting during the newscast, and the final vote, of course, at the end of tonight's news. A 46-year-old Jamaican man has been remanded in custody after appearing in court today, charged with the murder of the daughter of Minister Marlene Coudray, Michelle Coudray Graves. Taxi driver Ivan Taylor appeared in the Montego Bay Resident Magistrates Court this morning, a month after Coudray Graves went missing in Jamaica. Bail application was being made for Taylor, who sported a dreadlocked hairstyle, but Magistrate Sandria Wong Small instead denied him bail. Prosecutors told the court that Taylor had no fixed place of abode, although he claimed that he lived in Westmoreland and worked in Montego Bay. Instead, they received word that the 46-year-old also went by another name, Ojel Cooper. Taylor was fingerprinted and will be back to court on July 12th, when the abduction and murder charges against him will be mentioned again. Taylor had been in custody for 26 days after being held on June 11th, days after Coudray Graves' burnt body was found in a cane field. The 38-year-old was reported missing on June 2nd after having returned to Jamaica to take up a teaching job. No decision on the Trinidad and Tobago request for an amendment to the Caribbean Court of Justice Treaty as CARICOM leaders ended their annual summit in St. Lucia. This from Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar just before leaving Rodney Bay, where the leaders met on the eve of next year's 40th anniversary of the signing of the Treaty of Chaguaramas that established the integration movement.
The matter touching and concerning Trinidad and Tobago with respect to the Caribbean Court of Justice, we could not arrive at a consensus, and there were some who felt that they needed to get more information, more learning as to the legal implications will such an amendment to the treaty be made. So there was no consensus with respect to that yesterday. The decision-making at the CARICOM is done by consensus, and if you do not have consensus, then you cannot move forward. I respect their decision in that regard, and it remains open.
And on the contentious issue of trade imbalances raised by Barbados and Jamaica concerning Trinidad and Tobago, the Prime Minister says discussions must continue because CARICOM is about lifting each other and not pulling each other down.
Conversations through dialogue that we will continue to have with both countries to see in what ways that trade imbalance can be balanced, be more balanced. Trinidad and Tobago does have a competitive advantage with respect to certain manufactured goods. And I think that is a concern in the other nations. I know My trade minister, former trade minister, had met with the trade minister of Jamaica, but more discussions would need to be carried out. Barbados is now raising similar issues, and certainly we will continue to talk with our CARICOM family.
As we mentioned before, CARICOM celebrates its 40th anniversary next year, and ironically, the chair returns to Trinidad, where the institution was started 4 decades ago. Central Bank Governor Ewart Williams has labelled CLICO as massive fraud. In an interview with Anthony Wilson, business editor of our sister paper, the Trinidad Guardian, Governor Williams admits he spent many sleepless nights over the CLICO collapse, in which thousands of citizens lost money. And he defends the intervention of the Patrick Manning administration, saying, given CLICO's wide tentacles across the country's economy, no government or central bank could have allowed it to fail.
We are taking the position that CLICO was a massive fraud on the public.
Central Bank Governor Ewart Williams was open on his views on the collapse of one of the country's longest-standing financial institutions in an interview with the Guardian Media Limited on Friday afternoon. CLICO, he said, served as a wake-up call for an urgent need to tighten the regulatory infrastructure. And as he gets set to demit office in 1 week's time, Governor Williams assures key pieces of legislation are now in the works: the insurance legislation and the credit union legislation. The collapse of CLICO is now the subject of a commission of inquiry, and Governor Williams admits the collapse caused him many a sleepless night.
Yes, I've lost a lot of sleep on it. It does. I mean, here, simply because it didn't put the central bank in the best light. People lost money.
And while many have criticized the then Patrick Manning government for rushing in to assist the failed giant, Governor Williams says there was little else that could have been done, given that CLICO had a 52% ownership in Republic Bank, the National Insurance Board, NGC, and the Unit Trust all had investments in the institution, which had the largest portfolio of pension funds.
You couldn't let an institution that had such a massive impact on the economy fail. You couldn't. You just couldn't have a disorderly breakup of an institution that large.
He's satisfied that he's leaving with the economy on a sound footing, a solid staff at the central bank, and with no regrets.
When I look at the experience as a whole, I still think I'm ahead of the game. I have no regrets. I'd do it all over again.
Governor Williams retires next week. For CNC3, I'm Melissa Williams.
Now Roger's here to tell us what we can expect coming up in sport later on. Roger?
Thank you very much, Golda. Well, the Windies are going after a 4th straight win against New Zealand tomorrow. They faced each other in the second one-day international in Jamaica. And we'll show you how David Beckham lost his cool, lost his temper, and has been banned for 1 game in the American MLS. That and a whole lot more later in sport. Golda, it's back to you.
Thank you, Roger. It's time for us to remind you of the question that we're asking this evening in our Your Vote segment, and that question is, do you agree with Minister Warner's proposal that police officers be allowed to take home police vehicles and guns? Text your response to the number 2623. If it's yes, text Y. If it's no, then text N. We'll give you an update on voting during the newscast and the final vote at the end of tonight's news. Now, still ahead in the news, a call for citizens to save lives by donating organs. The EMA stops work by a construction company in a bid to contain possible lead contamination. One day after the SEA results are released, the nation's teachers are not happy. We'll tell you why. And a swimming pool may be coming to your community soon. That's if this famous businessman has his way. And later, think this is fun? Try telling these men and women that it's not. This is the CNC3 News at 7. Stay with us.
You have a sense of style. It's elegant. It's chic. It's modern. It's timeless. At Quartz, we have the widest range of furniture to suit any style. So you're sure to find something that's you. And right now at Quartz, you can get a chance to win $25,000 in fashionable furniture. Furniture is fashionable, only at Quartz. Bringing value home.
A call is being made tonight for citizens to donate their organs to help save lives. Kamal Georges explains how it's a good way to make a contribution even after your demise.
Offering your organs for donation after you die can give life to at least 2 others. Health experts are concerned, though, that the culture of organ donation in this country is almost non-existent. The National Organ Transplant Unit and the Donation Transplantation Unit have embarked on a national organ donation and transplantation program in TNT. It's a program which experts hope will help save close to 675 patients currently on dialysis.
For a deceased donor, there's just one patient, and in fact, 2 persons can be helped rather than one.
Transplantation versus dialysis cannot be matched up. According to Dr. Leslie Roberts, 8 out of 10 people who have received transplants in this country have survived and went on to live healthy and productive lives. That's reason enough, according to Dr. Colin Furlong of the Ministry of Health, for citizens to change their attitude towards organ donation.
Give life to become a donor. Talk to your family members today and tomorrow about becoming an organ donor. A pledge by a person to donate his or her organs is indeed a great thing.
Spain has the highest rate of organ transplantation anywhere in the world. Spanish energy company Repsol hopes that by lending its support to this program, it can impart some of the Spanish generosity to the people of this country.
Think of the possibility of you or a family member needing an organ to improve or save their lives.
For CNC3, I'm Kamal Georges.
Housing company HCL has been ordered to stop work on a lead-contaminated site in Arima. The Environmental Management Authority issued a press release today saying that it has secured the agreement from HCL to stop all works on the site until the threat of contamination is contained. Desiree Sibaran has more.
Earlier this week, an environmental group called Papaboa Conservation raised the alarm that a site near the Crossings housing development in Arima is a remediated lead-contaminated site, and that the contaminated soil, once encapsulated by concrete, clay, and a geomembrane layer, had been breached by new construction work in the area. The EMA has confirmed via press release that the concrete encasing the lead-contaminated soils has been broken. According to an EMA release, HCL was issued a certificate of environmental clearance in 2004 for the remediation of this lead-contaminated site. But the company breached that environmental clearance certificate when they began to conduct new works in that area. EMA CEO Joth Singh has advised HCL to fence the area, to have it declared a hazardous waste zone, to reseal the contained area as soon as possible, and to conduct tests to see if lead has leached into the soil and ground and river water nearby. Mark Devatai, a member of the environmental group that raised the alarm on the possible breach of the lead containment, has said that he's happy that the EMA has taken action. He said, "I think that it's time the EMA gets serious about prosecuting individuals and companies who cause toxic waste to enter into the environment." Lead poisoning has been linked to several health problems, including birth defects, reproductive problems, hypertension, and death. For CNC3, I'm Desiree Sibaran.
In other news, recently appointed Agriculture Minister Devant Maraj has been told by farmers that despite all that has been done for the industry, agriculture is still not being given the priority which it should by the government. Maraj met with stakeholders today and was told that the slow pace of distributing lands to former Caroni 1975 employees is hampering food production. We have more in this report from Ria Rambali.
Local farmers have told Agriculture Minister Devant Maraj that many are willing to plant and farm, but they currently do not have the lands to do so.
So right now we have farmers willing to go in the land, no bridges into the land at the Waterloo and Exchange area.
I have applied for lands for myself to keep me consistently. I have not been successful so far.
I really think that you all should try to speed up with these.
Minister Maraj met with stakeholders on Friday and was told that farmers' hands are tied because they are yet to get the lands promised to them when Caroni 1975 Limited was closed down.
People who there 40 and 50 years and the children and they're going down and their grandchildren and the children can't get a piece of paper, we want to see them get it.
Taking note, the minister assured that the issue is being dealt with.
Fewer than 10 leases per week receive approvals. I I think he has cut down the amount of steps from over close to 100 to about seven steps to get the leases processed, and I think they're being done as quickly as the ministry staff could do them. So we hope I think the total number of leases outstanding was close to 6,000.
The minister also heard complaints from President of the Poultry Association, Robin Phillip, about problems within the poultry industry. Mr. Phillip also raised concerns about what he says is serious conflict taking place at the level of the directorate.
Something happens somewhere else, and a decision is made to allow duty-free concession or product to come in at preferential rates.
Other issues raised by the farmers include flooding, a lack of subsidies, predial larceny, poor infrastructure and weak legislation as areas which should be urgently addressed. Minister Miraj asked the heads of the respective associations to detail their problems with solutions in writing and submit it to the Ministry of Agriculture. For CNC3, I'm Ria Rambali.
Teachers are demanding that the government settle all outstanding negotiations before the start of the new school term. And they say if this is not done, they'll lose enthusiasm to work. President of the Trinidad and Tobago Unified Teachers Association, Roston Job, says negotiations are stalling and they intend to fight. Otto Carrington has more.
The school term came to an end on Friday, and teachers are demanding that the government settle their outstanding negotiations before the opening of the 2012-2013 school term, or else. Their union, the Trinidad and Tobago Unified Teachers Association, says the Chief Personnel Officer, Stephanie Lewis, is stalling.
We'll continue to negotiate during the holidays, of course, but we are hoping that good sense prevail on the part of the CPO and the government, and that this thing is settled before school open in September.
The bargaining period has already expired. Tutor President Roston Job explains the union is now negotiating retroactively.
What is happening with this negotiation right now? The period for our negotiations has gone, right? We are negotiating from 2008 to 2011. We are in 2012. So we are negotiating retroactively, you can say.
So far, the union, in recent sessions with the CPO on Fridays, believe there has been a deliberate delay, and teachers are extremely frustrated and will not hesitate to take the necessary action to ensure a prompt, just salary settlement. For CNC3, I am Otto Carrington.
This year's top SCA student, Rebecca Ann Jatan, is enjoying her reign as the #1 student in the country, telling us she always had her sights on the top spot. Speaking on the CNC3 early morning show today, just a day after she emerged as the most outstanding student in the exam, Rebecca says while she studied hard, she always found time to play and relax during the hectic period leading up to the exam. Rebecca, who says she loves animals and wants to become a vet, is very excited to begin high school.
My parents have always made sure that my timetable was balanced. I had enough time to relax, and they always made sure that I studied so I wasn't stressed out or pressurized. Everything was good. I know that they'll expect me to do extremely well, but I will just do my best and hope that they appreciate what I do.
Meanwhile, her teacher, Wesley Ramnath, says it's important not to stress students out before the exams. He says that pressuring students and putting the weight of the world on their shoulders could be traumatic. However, he had only good things to say about Rebecca. According to him, she was the perfect student.
Rebecca has been a model student in our class. She works on her own. She follows instructions. She doesn't give any trouble. She is the ideal student, and she goes the extra mile to aim for perfection. And I think that's a key to her success, because in the exam she got a perfect score in all subject areas.
Time now for charting a new course where we feature the graduation photos that you sent to us. And this evening we have the Valencia Early Childhood School and the Happy Hill Hindu School. And it's now time for What You Saw, where we feature the videos and the pictures that you've sent to the address news@cnc3.co.tt. This first picture from Sophia, who didn't tell us much, like where she was when she took the picture, just saying the sun is beautiful. And this is from Roger, who says this is just a little note to the CDA and other organizations to please ensure that your staff uses spell check and someone who can spell edit signs before they're posted in public places. The word concrete is spelled wrong, and this sign is at Macquarie Beach. And finally from Jen, of a truck overturned on the bend in Chagaramas just after the kayak center. Thank you so much for sending those photographs to us. It's time to remind you of the question that we're asking in this evening's Your Vote segment. And that question once again is, do you agree with Minister Warner's proposal that police officers be allowed to take home police vehicles and guns? You know the instructions. Text your response to 2623. Text Y if it's yes, text N if it's no. And we'll tell you how you voted at the end of tonight's newscast. We went from education stories to big spelling errors. How do you spell, Roger? You think you're a good speller?
I have my errors at times.
Yeah, thank God for dictionary.com on my part. It's now time for the Sportscast with Roger Sant.
Yes, but I can count fairly well, and we've won 3 in a row against New Zealand. Tomorrow will be 4 in a row, that's for sure. Coming up after this break on Sports, Windies look to go 4 up and 2 up against New Zealand in the one-day series. Badminton crowns its 2 singles champions. Rally cars set to drive into Tobago next weekend. David Beckham banned for this outburst. And it's Federer versus Andy Murray in the Wimbledon final.
Stream, share faster than ever before on Digicel's super-fast 4G network. It's summer in 4G. Get your smartphone with a smart plan on the smartest network in TNT. Sign up for our newest postpaid smart plans now. Plus, for a limited time, get 1 month subscription free and 4G smartphones for $199. Be extraordinary. Digicel. There's one in all of us. Don't drink and drive. Designate a friend so you can lime again. Be the one. A message from the Trinidad and Tobago Beverage Alcohol Alliance.
Shaving can irritate skin, causing dark marks to become visible. Dove has the effective solution. New Dove Clear Tone Antiperspirant with calendula and sunflower seed extracts. It moisturizes to help accelerate natural skin renewal processes, helping skin to repair itself while still keeping you dry. The result? Underarms with visibly reduced dark marks and an even tone. New Dove Clear Tone.
The West Indies and New Zealand going to battle in the second Digicel One-Day International tomorrow in Jamaica. Now, West Indies lead the series 1-0 after winning yesterday. And please don't tell West Indies captain Darren Sammy anything about it being a weak or depleted Kiwi team.
We played the last few series and people used to say the same thing about us, but when we lose, people always used to talk. So I don't really. We playing against New Zealand, and on cricket is a game. If you don't come out and perform on the day, anything could happen. So we got a lot of respect for the opposition, but with that said, we're playing some good cricket at the moment.
And that second one, the international, is live on CNC3 and 105 FM from 10:30 in the morning, live from Sabina Park in Jamaica. And in more cricket news, Guyana's President Donald Ramutar has strongly criticized the West Indies Cricket Board for moving the 2 T20 internationals against New Zealand to Florida last weekend. Ramutar said the decision was an abomination and unfair to the Caribbean regional governments who had spent heavily in the development of stadia across the region. President Ramutar commented that cricket administrators were working in self-interest, saying, quote, governments invested millions of dollars in building facilities to enhance the game and to promote the growth of the sport. However, today we face the abomination. Key matches are now being taken out of the region while some of our territories are deliberately deprived. This must be of great concern to us. West Indies cricket is not the private property of some administrators, but it is a regional public good. End quote. Well, today the WICB Under-17 Championships continued over in the sister isle of Tobago, and home team Trinidad and Tobago scored a massive win over Barbados to rebound from their defeat to Jamaica 2 days ago. Jeremy Solazano scored 62 and Brian Christmas was celebrating with 92. Nicholas Puran made 74, all in a huge Trinidad and Tobago score of 326 all out from 50 overs after winning the toss and deciding to bat first. In turn, the Trinidad and Tobago bowlers spindled out the Bajans for 158 in just 34 overs and 1 ball. Lee Gugman Baskin scored a fighting 82, but that was just about the only sparkle in an otherwise dull Bajan batting performance. Jesse Bhutan and Jovan Ali took 3 wickets each, bowling for Trinidad and Tobago to romp to a 168-run win. Also winning today were the Windward Islands and Jamaica. That tournament comes to an end tomorrow. Well, away from cricket now, Solange Guzman-Perez and Kerwin Pantin captured the 2012 edition of the solo badminton singles titles at the Central Regional Sporting Complex last evening. Pantin also teamed up with Keston Friday to win the men's doubles crown. Astel Wren has more.
Sitting among the small turnout of spectators was former national coach Trevor Smith, while on centre court, Solange Guzman-Perez in the white and black sporting outfit faced Jay Joseph in the ladies' singles final. The contest promised so much, but it never lived up to expectations. The game went to 2 sets as Perez lifted the 5th edition of the solo-sponsored badminton ladies singles crown. Perez winning 21-3, 21-7 in a quick time of 20 minutes. Joseph congratulated the new ladies singles champion before the players leave centre court. In the men's doubles matchup, Roger Moore and Mark Springer in the black jerseys took on Kerwin Pantin and Keston Friday. Pantin returning to the sport after a 6-month sabbatical. The pair of Moore and Springer gave off their best, but it was not good enough as Pantin and Friday took the doubles title 21-11, 21-12. Pantin had earlier in the evening won the men's singles crown, defeating Justin Sue. Reporting for CNC3 Sports, I am Astel Wren.
The 4th annual edition of the THA Car Rally Festival rolls around next weekend in Tobago and is already promising to be another grand installment come July 12th to the 15th. This high-speed motor rally event is the only one of its kind in Tobago and is being described as a 3-day motorsport tourism festival for the sister isle and has attracted regional participants from Barbados and as far as the UK and the US. And while last year's event was somewhat hampered by rain, organizers are hoping this year's 14 stages run off smoothly.
14 stages. We are going to start very early in the morning. It's not going to be, I think it was a 9:30 start. We are starting at 8 o'clock in the morning. And we are going to attempt to run 14 stages.
Already 20 cars have entered the race, and while at least 5 of this country's better-known vehicles and the drivers will be missing, organizers have cited this as an opportunity for emerging motorsport enthusiasts to step to the plate.
We also have a competition for 3 Tobagonians who will compete to be a co-driver in one of the 3 rally cars. How will you be chosen? Interested persons are to call 735-7908 and provide contact information, physical attributes, and racing experience, and you'll be selected by a panel.
We've got 2 drivers already confirmed to allow a co-driver for a Tobagonian, or 3 Tobagonian, sorry, to co-drive in rally cars for the event.
That's next weekend over in Tobago. Well, to some news of football now. And LA Galaxy midfielder David Beckham has been banned for 1 game and fined an undisclosed amount for his confrontational and provocative behavior during and after last weekend's defeat at San Jose. The 37-year-old Beckham was handed the punishment by the Major League Soccer Disciplinary Committee after being involved in an on-pitch scuffle during their 4-3 loss. Angry at perceived time wasting, Beckham struck San Jose's Sam Cronin with the ball and then continued to argue with opposing players after the final whistle. He had to be restrained. While a statement read, the committee considered his conduct unacceptable and detrimental to the league's public image. Beckham will serve his suspension on Sunday afternoon when the Galaxy take on the Chicago Fire at Toyota Park. In some tennis news now, at Wimbledon today, although Roger Federer had lost the 6 of 7 matches to Novak Djokovic, the court was in his favor today. Federer prevailed 6-3, 2-6, 6-4, 6-3 to move to the Wimbledon final, where he will meet Andy Murray, who became the first Englishman since 1938 to reach a Wimbledon final.
The world number 4 took the first 2 sets, but his opponent Jo-Wilfried Tsonga fought back, and the Frenchman was fighting through the pain barrier there in the 3rd. The umpire resisting the temptation to call for new balls. By the end, Murray was fighting back the tears as he took the 4th set 7-5 to reach his first Wimbledon final.
Playing a Wimbledon final.
Federer secured a record 8th final appearance with a 4-set win against Novak Djokovic. It was the first time these two had ever played on grass, and having split the first 2 sets, Federer moved in for the kill. That was for the 3rd set, and the Swiss was just sublime today. The world number 1 and defending champion Djokovic was unusually subdued, but Federer earned his place in another final, and the win on Sunday will also put him back on top of the world rankings. Murray will have something to say about that, though.
Tomorrow, it's the ladies' final. Well, on a Friday, we bring out the funny and the spectacular ones on our Friday evening Sports High. This is Japanese football between Kawasaki Frontale and Vissel Kobe. And scoring this beautiful strike was Ken Tokura. But look at what he did next. He decided to celebrate like Italy's Mario Balotelli. Well, that earned him some applause and some jeers. But of course, there's nothing like the man himself. Sticking with football, Norwegian beach football. Look at the player in the red, top left-hand corner of your screen. He raises the ball to himself and then bicycle kicks it home for a great strike. Oh, that deserves a second look. Not only does he get the assist, but also a great piece of skill and a place on our Sports High. And finally, at Wimbledon, American Marty Fish with the booming serve, and it hit a lineswoman in the eye. While she was shaken up, didn't look seriously hurt. Jo-Wilfried Tsonga, who was on the receiving end on court 2, checked on her state, and eventually she had to leave the court. As we look at it again in slow motion, tough luck for the lady who tried to get out of the way but was not quick enough. And that's your Friday evening sports eye. Golda, I know you enjoy that.
Yeah, just let me say, I would take a ball in the eye so that Songa would come by and touch me on my shoulder and give me some comfort. No offense, Mr. Bruce.
You don't have to do that. You can get an autograph.
Well, we'll see how it goes, but I doubt I'll ever be a lineswoman at Wimbledon. Thank you so much, Roger. It's time for us to remind you of the question that you're voting on and to give you an update on how the voting has been going so far. And the question is, do you agree with Minister Warner's proposal that police officers be allowed to take home police vehicles and guns? And in our tally of votes thus far, 5% of you say yes, and 95% of you say no. There's still time to change that vote and get your opportunity to vote in before the end of the newscast. We're waiting to hear from you. Coming up just ahead tonight, keep your eyes peeled. They move fast and they move in unison. Soldiers display their skills and compete. We'll tell you why they regard today as a day of fun and celebration. Stay tuned to the CNC3 News at 7.
Skyline Freight and Management Limited, custom brokers, freight forwarders, packers and movers to and from any part of the world. Call 6277-668 or 625-3119. Skyline Freight, celebrating 25 years in the freight industry.
Smooth in, frizz out. Suave Professional's Keratin Infusion Shampoo and Conditioner is infused with keratin. It controls frizz for up to 48 hours. Salon proven to smooth as well as Kerastase Ban Oleo Relax.
It's now time for the weather with Eric Mackey. Eric.
Thank you, Golda. Well, you've often heard me talk in the past about the sting in the tail. This time it's the sting in the tail of the intertropical convergence zone. You'd have recalled yesterday I was talking about an area of cloud that passed just south of Trinidad into Venezuela area, and you could have seen it very well on the picture. There was a fair amount of activity. Well, the very tail end of that, as it was passing south of us last night, drifted just a little bit north, and that was the result. We had those rain and showers overnight into this morning, but by 10 o'clock things started to dry out, and it does look as at this point as if we're going to have a pretty dry weekend. Next tropical wave is all the way out here. It's about 1,200 miles out, and it's going to take a couple of days to get here. The forward edge of it may start to affect Trinidad about Sunday evening or possibly Monday morning, but that looks like early next week's weather at this point in time. Moving fairly rapidly westward, but it's still got a ways to go. So we'll see what happens with it. The intertropical convergence zone, in the meantime, ahead of it, having experiencing really dry conditions because of very dry air and Sahara dust. You'll probably see a bit of that over this weekend. It'll be a bit hazy with the amount of dust in the atmosphere. Now, the wind's going to be around 12 to 16 knots. It's forecast to come down a bit over the weekend. Probably by Sunday, it's going to be down to around 10 to 15. It's going to be out to a mostly easterly direction, may vary a little bit north of east, a little bit south of east at times. Seas are forecast to be 2 to 2.5 meters, especially for tomorrow. But once the wind starts to come down, those seas will come down as well. 8 to 9 second interval between the swells out to a mostly easterly direction. Gulf of Paris seas will remain around 1 meter. Trinidad tonight's going to be mostly fair. There's a chance of a brief shower overnight. Tonight, so it'll be 24 degrees. Tomorrow, we're looking at mostly sunny and hazy conditions. A chance of a shower, particularly in the afternoon, and a high of a hot 33. Crossing Tobago tonight, mostly fair. Chance of a shower, low of 25. And Tobago tomorrow, mostly sunny. Chance of a brief shower during the day, and a high of a hot 32. And that was the temperature over there today. Sunrise is going to be at 5:49 a.m. and sunset at 6:32 p.m. First low tide for Port of Spain will be at 12:14 a.m. and for Scarborough at 12:07. First high tide 6:18 a.m. for Port of Spain and 6:07 for Scarborough. And that's my weather report for now. We'll have a look at the travelers forecast and we'll take a short break, and when we come back, Gold will have some more news here.
On sweat, not on skin. Get powerful 48-hour sweat protection plus quarter moisturizer technology only with Dove Men Plus Care deodorant. Feel the impact of freshness. New Dove Men Plus Care Aqua Impact Deodorant.
Investigations continue today into the leak of the essay results on Wednesday. Police were expected to question other members of staff at the Ministry of Education about the leak on the controversial website WikiLeaks. We understand the team assigned by Commissioner of Police Dwayne Gibbs to probe the matter has questioned a number of members of staff, including members of the Examination Council. Yesterday, Education Minister Dr. Tim Gopi Singh said internal investigations showed that members of the Examination Council would have breached the oath of secrecy. An official from the Ministry of Education would only tell us that investigations are ongoing and that the police are now investigating the matter. Yesterday, the Education Minister said they have reason to suspect at least 2 people, but would not provide any further information. Minister Gopi Singh maintains that someone must be held accountable for what he calls a criminal act. Police have discovered and destroyed over $42 million worth of marijuana in the Moruga forest. Speaking at the daily police briefing today, Public Information Officer Sergeant Wayne Meister says the find was a major one and shows that the police service is bent on ending the illegal drug trade in this country.
10 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Thursday, 5th July 2012, police officers attached to the Southern Division Task Force under the supervision of Sergeant Nobi and assisted by officers of the Organized Crime, Narcotics and Firearms Bureau, conducted a marijuana eradication exercise in the Moruga Forest, where they discovered and destroyed 4 marijuana fields with approximately 42,500 fully grown trees and 17 kilograms of cured marijuana with an estimated street value of $42,200,000. 3 rounds of 12-gauge cartridges were also found and seized.
No one has yet been arrested for the find. Now, last night we told you about a new type of therapy for autistic and special needs children called hippotherapy. As we explained, this unique and groundbreaking type of therapy will involve the use of horses in teaching special needs children communication, occupational and physical skills. It is the first time this type of therapy is being done locally and was made possible through Digicel. Digicel's marketing director, Sasha Thompson, explained that when the company learned of this life-changing therapy, it did not hesitate to sponsor 20 children for a year.
When Karen and her team first came to us with this interesting initiative, you know, first we had to get past the thought of, we have hippos in Trinidad? Hippotherapy, really, what's this about? You know, but we jumped at the initiative right off the bat. Because this this initiative is truly unique, and it helps the Digicel Foundation to really deliver on our objective of supporting the development of special needs children in Trinidad and Tobago.
Thompson says it's important for Digicel to give special needs children an equal opportunity at life. Founder of the Swimming for Success program, William Monroe, sends a challenge out to all businessmen to follow in his footsteps and give back to Trinidad and Tobago. Mr. Monroe has been allowing children from the San Juan community to use his swimming pool to learn to swim. Otto Carrington has more.
It's been just over a year in existence, but the Swimming for Success project has etched its mark in the community of San Juan. Founder of the project, William Monroe, is now challenging all businessmen in Trinidad and Tobago to follow him and give back to the community. The Swimming for Success project is fully sponsored by Mr. Monroe. The pool is located at his home and is used for swimming classes and life skills training.
The other businessmen will honestly to herd all this money they are making. That is not so nice. Just take a little of your profit and extend it to other communities.
Mr. Monroe says he intends to expand this project since, in his opinion, sports tourism is a large economic driver. The third cycle for the training is coming to an end and the graduation is carded for July 14th. Mr. Monroe is hoping to expand the project to another community.
Trying to see if I can get a piece of land and move up. We have so much children up there that need that same type of program to assist them. But as we develop and as we go forward, and I hope when the ministers come, if they do come, that they will see the need then to come on board.
Director of Swimming for Success, Ronald Nathan, says this is a life coaching program.
We offer them two types of programs. A life skills program where they learn things like anger management and conflict resolution. We teach them financial literacy, what to do with their spending money.
For CNC3, I am Otto Carrington.
We have more news for you after this short break.
When I was little, I stuttered so bad and was really embarrassed by that. The teacher always used to call on students in the class. I'd be sitting there like, please don't call me. I'm gonna read it, I'm gonna stutter, everybody's gonna laugh at me. Shaquille, would you like to read page 19? Just be like, I'll take the 0. You know, I still stutter to this day, but I'm more cool with it now. Like if I get ready to stutter, I'll just give you to throw you off balance. My name is Shaquille O'Neal, and I'm definitely comfortable in my own skin.
It's time for a summary of the main international stories of the day.
Another Syrian general defects and flees the country, while the international community squabbles over how to deal with the deepening crisis. With Gaddafi long gone, it's now time for Libyans to choose their own destiny in the first free elections for nearly half a century.
Every Libyan now feeling that he is free, and I am sure that every Libyan is enthusiastic to see a new future for our coming generation.
Out with the old and in with the new. Australia's Girl Guides break with tradition, dropping any mention of Queen Elizabeth from their Pledge of Allegiance.
And you just heard a bit about it. Girl Guides in Australia will no longer have to pledge allegiance to the Queen and God and will instead promise to serve the community and Australia. Leaders said the move, which follows a 2-year survey of members, was designed to make guiding more modern and relevant and also to boost membership.
Girl Guides are to embrace a new promise, and they've removed any reference to God or their head of state, Britain's Queen Elizabeth. Senior officials say the changes are designed to attract new recruits to a more modern, relevant organisation from any faith or culture.
I promise that I will do my best to be true to myself and develop my beliefs.
Girl Guides in Australia will now pledge to do their best to be true to myself and develop my beliefs, rather than do my duty to God to serve the Queen and my country. Australia is a constitutional monarchy, and there are those who believe it's wrong for the Girl Guides to adopt a new pledge that excludes God and Britain's Queen Elizabeth.
We've got some fun news for you after this break.
We're testing new Degree, the only antiperspirant activated directly by movement. Activating protection, Bear! The more you move, the more it works. New new long-lasting degree with motion sense. Not me! Keep running.
We're watching every move our leaders make and reporting it all back to you with the most comprehensive local, regional, and international stories 7 days a week. CNC3, 7 p.m. News. We're covering your world.
Do you want money?
Of course I do.
He can't win this money, but you can. Hi everyone, I'm Caroline.
I'm Ramon.
And I'm Khadija. Don't miss our brand new game show, Caribbean Cash Call.
We'll be coming to you live every weekday from 3 p.m. on CNC3.
We'll be playing lots of games and giving away loads of money. All you have to do is call in and answer the question. Plus, we're totally interactive and we'll be reading your messages live on screen.
That's Caribbean Cash Call every weekday from 3 p.m. on CNC3.
The show where you are the star. We're waiting for your call.
It was a major topic here in this country, and now it's making international headlines. Nicki Minaj's visit to Trinidad to film her latest video for the song Pound the Alarm has been making the rounds internationally. The MTV blog, the Daily Mail in the UK, the Washington Post, and many others have taken interest in the carnival-themed video and her return to her hometown. Trinidad was just one of many stops on a jet-setting spree as she puts together the video. The Daily Mail reported that the 29-year-old adopted a full costume displaying traditional colors that are often worn at the world-famous Trinidad and Tobago Carnival. You don't usually associate the men and women of the Trinidad and Tobago Regiment with fun and games. But today, as the regiment celebrated its 50th anniversary, the entire day was set aside for games as a drilling competition was held and soldiers showed off how their life-saving moves can also be regarded as fun. It's all on a lighter note.
Ever wondered what soldiers do for fun? Well, they compete, really compete. Members of the Trinidad and Tobago Regiment were out in full force on Friday as the regiment celebrated its 50th anniversary, and what other way for soldiers to have fun and celebrate than by doing what else? Competing against one another in a drilling competition. With one of this country's most decorated soldiers, retired Brigadier Carl Alfonso, serving as the head judge, soldiers weren't out just to compete, they were out to win as they nervously went through their paces. And make no mistake, there's more to the drilling competition than well-coordinated marching. It's all about moving quickly to the commands as well.
Rifle exercises, judging the time. Those will fix valence.
For this particular competition, 4 platoons took part and were judged on everything, even their appearance. The competition was at times so intense that some soldiers paid no attention to losing their berets or even the blistering heat.
It's time to remind you of the question that we asked this evening, that should be, and to give you the final vote. And the question was, do you agree with Minister Warner's proposal that police officers should be allowed to take home police vehicles and guns? And in our final tally of votes, 4% of you say yes, and 96% of you say no. It's a bad idea. Thank you so much for participating in the newscast and for sharing your views with us. That brings us to the end of the news here on CNC3. Thank you for watching. I'm Goldilly Bruce.
I'm Roger Sant, and whatever your plans are this weekend, we urge you to be safe on the nation's roadways and stay tuned and keep CNC3 close to you for the very latest. You can join us again tomorrow evening at 7 for another newscast. Good night.